Namaste, Sakshi, Telugu Prajala Manasakshi. Welcome to special immigration show. Today we are back with our expert attorney Bhanu Illindra garu, BBA Law Group PC, 17 years of experience in law offices. And if you have any queries regarding immigration, feel free to call us. Bhanu garu will glad to answer your questions. And so before you begin the show, please note that the information provided on this show not a legal advice, just for the information purpose only. So Sakshi TV or its agents will not be responsible for this. If you need any specific legal advice, please contact the attorney directly. And today we're going to talk about hope from President Joe Biden on immigration. So without any further delay, let's begin the show. Hello, Bhanu garu. Namaste, Andy. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Andy. Namaskaram, Andy. Thank you very much for inviting me again.
Yeah, pleasure to have you, sir. And Bhanu garu, so as we all know that manaki chala changes vachayi and man topic gurinchi discuss cheskune mundu, so can you please provide your information, law officers, and also your experience?
Definitely. Thank you, Prasanna garu. And my name is Bhanu Illindra. I'm an immigration attorney, Andy, and I exclusively practice in immigration law. And I'm practicing immigration law for 17 years right now. And I started my own firm in 2008. Since then, I'm working for my own firm, and we have like around 20-member staff in the company, basically, overall such staff and everything. And we represent in all types of immigration matters, basically, and it's employment-based immigration, family-based immigration, all types of immigration matters. It's not one particular type. We do everything, basically. We do inbound and outbound also. Recently, we started providing services for the consular services also in India and all across the countries, basically. And we do that. We're going to implement, we're going to do and take up those cases more in coming year in 2021, basically. We are able to establish the program accordingly, basically, in a form where we can able to take these inbound and outbound cases with the consulates, basically abroad, and able to assist the people with their visa, immigration visas and everything, basically. And same thing, we will help with the Indian consulates also if anybody wants to get a visa for India and all those things also. And our firm name is BBA Law Group PCND, and we are located in Herndon, Virginia, which is basically Washington, DC suburbs, And our firm website is www.bbalawgroup.com. Our telephone number is 703-496-7722. Our email is contact@bbalawgroup.com or crm@bbalawgroup.com, or they can also send an email to me personally, which is bhanu@bbalawgroup.com. If they want to reach us, they can also go to our website, www.bbalawgroup.com, and they can also schedule an appointment over there online, and accordingly, they should be able to talk to me and seek whatever guidance they needed for the immigration laws.
Yes, Bhanu garu, thanks for the info. And madam, discussion starts before we have one workman call. Let's take the call.
Sure, Andy.
Hello, Andy.
Hello.
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 Yes, please go on.
Hello.
Yes, please go.
Hello.
Yes. Hi, Bhanu Guru. My name is Jain. I recently graduated last year, and I'm working right now with a company. The issue is that I'm working remotely from Washington, but my office is in Dallas. But I'm currently working on F1 OPT. I'm planning to change my visa and apply for H1B. But as of now, I don't have a physical location at Dallas, where my work location is. So just wanted to know, before applying H1B, shall I shift or move to my city or my work location, or I can file an application while working remotely from another state?
You can file a H1B petition while you're working remotely from other state, and there is no restriction on that, as long as you can document that the position is a remote position and your physical presence is required in the US, and you have to file your H1B petition accordingly. Basically, you should be able to obtain LCA for the remote location, that is basically the state where you're residing, and then file H1B petition accordingly. But the thing is, you should be able to document that from October 1, 2021 onwards, you're going to have a job available still remotely for you at that time, basically. That's only the thing.
Yes, thanks for calling. And Bhanu garu, as we all know that we have many changes in. Yes.
Okay. But yes, Mr. Bhanu, if I'm planning in future, probably in the second quarter to shift to Dallas, so do I still need to report it? Because by October, I think I would be in Dallas and won't be working remotely. So shall I still take care of the fact that that the remote thing, or is it okay just to have my home address in Washington and work address here in Dallas while filing for H-1B?
No, that is not possible. Basically, if you've taken LCA only for the Washington, and in the future, if you want to work from the Dallas location, then you have to file an amendment to the H-1B petition again. So if the client is located in Dallas, then obviously that is the address where you can mention in the LCA along with your home address in LCA. And tomorrow, if you move to Dallas, if you're moving into the same metropolitan statistical area where the client is located, then you will be covered under the regulations basically, and you should be able to continue working remotely from your home, which is in the same metropolitan statistical area as you are in Dallas basically.
Right. Thanks for calling, Andy. Yes, Bhanugaru, as we all know that we have many changes in H-1B lottery and all. So can you brief with us?
Yeah, the thing is right now, the change which we are worried about the H-1B lottery is when will the USCIS will implement the latest rule which they published basically in the Federal Register about lottery selection process based upon the wages offered to the employees rather than the regular lottery based upon whoever applies taking a random lottery and then taking based upon selection you're going to file case like that basically, right? Thing is they have a 60-day rule in effect basically further. That means the earliest that rule can be implemented is from March 21, 2021. My whole issue is last year they implemented the lottery registration from March 1 onwards, basically March 1 to March 19th. So I'm assuming basically many lawyers are feeling that they may not implement the wage rule based lottery system for the fiscal year 2022, which is basically supposed to start registration March 1. They may implement it for the next year, but we have to see how USA is going to come and make an announcement on this. But because of the new administration coming into place and everything, I'm assuming that they may not implement, they may postpone the wage-based lottery system for the next year instead of this year, because I don't think they have enough time to implement that right now. I think many lawyers are in concurrence with me on that particular issue. So if they're going to continue the same process what has been in the last year, so it is the similar procedure which we have to follow, ensure that companies are way ahead, registered with the USA's website to apply the petitions for their employees through lottery-based system. So they register properly for their employees in the lottery, so that once the case is selected in the lottery, they should be able to file H-1B petitions within 90 days of the lottery selection. That is usually that is prior to June 30, 2020.
Okay. So what implications can we have made new changes to H-1B lottery?
As I said, the new changes is basically, if any changes are implemented, they're going to select the lottery based upon the wages offered for a particular position, depending upon what the position it is. Because, for example, if the company is filing H-1B petition for software engineer in Kundamandi, basically, okay, and if you're using SOC code, a former SOC code is 151132 for the software engineer position, basically, right? And if you're using that SOC code, they're going to see basically what are the wages you're offering for that particular individual, whether you're offering level 1 wages or level 2 wages, level 3 wages. Based upon that, they're going to pool the lottery accordingly. If you're filing for software engineer with the level 3 wages or level 4 wages, then you are in the highest preference pool to get selected in the lottery, basically, right? Okay. So that's how they're going to implement that. It's a tier system right now in the lottery also. Previously, there are only 2 tiers. One is advanced degree and the general quota, basically. Though they're going to do the general quota and then the advanced degree. But now they're going to do the tier system based, and then they're going to apply the same tier system for the general quota as well as to the advanced degree quota right now. So that is the major difference that's going to happen if they implement the lottery system based upon the selection of the cases based upon the wage levels offered to the employees, basically, for the positions.
Majority, most of them only applied through level 3, then what will happen?
If majority of them applied in level 3, then obviously everybody will get into the lottery same system. So percentage will be the same as depending on how many cases have been filed and how many cases have been selected and everything. But if you look into the final rule published by the USCIS on this issue, they've given a data, basically, they've given a tables, basically, actual tables, basically, what are the percentage, what are the number of the cases that have been filed in the past, basically, and what is the likelihood of percentage of those cases being filed again in this cap, basically, because they have a data to support what can be anticipated going to happen in the future, basically, right? As per them, the numbers are very minimal for the level 4 and level 3 wages, basically. So USCIS anticipates that if somebody files in level 4, level 3, if this rule is implemented, and if the lottery selection process goes through this rule, basically, it's very likely that if anybody files in level 4 or level 3 for a particular position group, basically, that's a slam dunk that they're going to be selected, basically. If it's a level 2, then certain percentage, I think 58% or something like that, are going to be selected if it's a level 2 position, because in level 1, if you file, for example, if a position is like software engineer, if you file level 1, it's not going to be selected at all, because already the quota will be over with the level 4, level 3, and level 2 cases, basically. Because majority of the cases are filed in level 2 last year, and they expect the same thing to happen this year also, that majority of the cases will be filed in level 2, because most of them have a master's degree at a minimum. That's why the companies tend to file it in level 2 for the many positions for which H1B program is usually majorly used. Usually, majorly H1B programs are used by the IT industry. So most of the IT positions are usually filed in level 2 position, and that's what at least USCIS is anticipating to happen, basically. If they implement this rule. If they don't implement this rule, then everything is normal, like what happened last year, basically.
So when will the prevailing wages levels become fully effective?
Prevailing wage levels are always effective, Andy, basically. I think you're talking about the recent DOL rule about the increase in prevailing wage levels, basically. Yeah. That is going to come into effect from June, Andy, basically, after 180 days, basically. So from June, the level 1 wages from 17 percentile to they're increasing it to 35 percentile, basically. And that is going to be implemented from June 2021 onwards, basically. So it's after 180 days, those are going to come into effect. That is entirely different from the lottery wage level selection process. That is applicable to all H1B cases, basically. And everybody is basically affected with that and everything. And you all know that there is one good news also, Andy. Irrespective of this topic, I'm trying to talk something else basically with this. The thing is, we all know that on January 15, 2021, Department of Homeland Security, that is USCIS, has actually made an announcement that they're going to issue a final rule where they're changing the definition of employer-employee relationship for the H1B purposes, basically, that requires the contracting, if the position is a consulting position and they're going to process a third-party company, the client as well as the company, they both have to file an H1B petition, basically. Okay, and in accordance with Department of Labor, immediately issued a memo for the WHD, and the OFLC memo has been issued to the both agencies, basically saying that the client also required to apply for LCA so that they can apply an H1B based upon that LCA and everything. And that rule is supposed to come into effect from after 180 days, basically, right? And we were basically did not understand how the statute supports even that, basically, how the USCIS try to implement this rule without even going through the proper APA procedures which have been laid under the Administrative Procedure Act. I think that interpretation is in accordance with the Congress intent or not. We do not know that. I think we slightly touched this subject last week also, but today we want to talk more on that subject. Actually, that was supposed to be our show. Actually, supposed to be today, but but yesterday the good news have come. Once the new administration came in on January 20th, when the new administration took over the place. The previous administration, before the change of power, they failed to send the final rule by the Department of Homeland Security, failed to send the final rule changing the definition of employer-employee relationship to publish in Federal Register, basically. Because they failed to send it to publish the rule in the Federal Register, that rule cannot be implemented right now. And that rule is not going to be implemented, and we do not know with the current administration when it will take that rule or when they're going to implement that rule and everything. And because of that, yesterday, Department of Labor issued a notice withdrawing those that they're not going to implement these rules anymore until further notice is given by them, basically. So that's a very good news, basically. That's a very good news.
Reasons ఏమై ఉండొచ్చు? మీ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్
Reasons basically, Andy, two things is that they know that they have uphill battle to win. Second is that is a pure anti-immigration agenda by the previous administration, and the new administration is basically is not that anti-immigration. That is the hope we have with the Biden administration. That is our agenda which we want to talk today. So because I think Biden government is more pro legal immigration and also pro-immigration government than what it has been in the past. And they know that this one is not going to fly in the courts, basically. And even if they send it to the publication, everything, if somebody files a case, I don't think Biden administration is going to put too much fight on that case, basically. Supporting that particular final regulation, everything, it's going to be failing, basically. And that could be the point reason. Or maybe it's pure incompetency from the prior administration that they could not even send the they could not even able to send the rules to publish in the Federal Register, basically, because of the lack of cohesion or lack of proper administration in the previous administration, basically. Those are the two reasons which I'm thinking, or which I would say, I'm guessing, Andy, basically, you know.
ఓకే యా అయితే మనం ఈ న్యూ చేంజెస్ వల్ల యుఎస్ లో ఉన్న కంపెనీస్ లో ఇంపాక్ట్ ఎలా ఉండొచ్చు అంటారు బాణి గారు? ఇండియన్ టెకీస్ కావచ్చు, యుఎస్ కంపెనీస్ కావచ్చు, ఎలా ఉంటుంది?
ఏ చేంజెస్ వల్ల కండి మీరు అనేది బేసికలీ
న్యూ H1B వేజెస్ చేంజెస్ వల్ల కావచ్చు, ఆల్ మనం చూస్తున్నాం లాస్ట్ ఫ్యూ వీక్స్ నుంచి ఈ చేంజెస్ వల్ల.
I'm hoping that everything will be fine, Andy, basically. I'm hoping that they're going to adjudicate the cases based upon the merits of the case, basically. You know, obviously, you're going to see the site visits, increase of site visits and everything. And we're going to see the current administration going to support an increase of the wage levels, which has been passed the final rule by the Department of Labor. We're going to see that because usually Democrats are more pro-labor government, basically. So they basically they're basically in favor of increasing wages to the employees, basically, rather than looking into how the companies can operate, and they look into the more favorable in the regulations that favor providing more wages to the employees, basically. So that is something which we're going to see in the current administration, basically. And we are going to see, we already saw that there are so many proclamation orders actually have been revoked by the Biden in the first day itself through the execution actions, basically, right? He assigned 7 executive actions, basically. In them, 9 of them are basically actually reversing the policies implemented by the Trump administration previously. And one of them is basically that reverting the ban through the proclamation, which basically ban traveling from major Muslim majority countries, basically. That is one thing. And making sure that DACA is restored and protected, basically, which is very, very important for so many undocumented children who are illegally came into this country, but however, they have done everything right to stay in this country. They went to the schools, they did study, they followed the law, and then basically they are in the position where they should be able to stay legally and work in this country, you know. And also Biden proposal is amazing, basically what he's proposed, that he wants to introduce the immigration reform bill within first 100 days of his administration. And he made a proposal on that we should have 2-page proposal in that what they actually think about the immigration law in that. And in them, basically, they're talking about the path to citizenship for all the illegal immigrants in this country. And at the same time, facilitating proper, smooth legal migration into this country. That means taking out the backlogs, basically, and basically removing the backlogs so that people who are waiting in line for a long period of time able to get their green cards, basically, in this country. So we're going to see a lot of things are happening more actively, more dynamically in immigration law in the Biden administration rather than any other administration in the past 20 years I've been in this country, basically.
Yes, Bhanu garu, we have one more caller, B.S. Naidu garu. Hello, Andy. Please go on.
Hello, Andy.
Yes,
hello,
hello.
Bhanu garu. Namaste, sir.
Hello, Andy. How are you?
Namaskaram. My name is Sakshi NRI, Andy. నాకు క్వశ్చన్ ఉందండి. అంటే రీసెంట్గా అంటే నేను ఐ వాంట్ టు అప్లై ఫర్ ఎక్స్టెన్షన్ ఫర్ మై వైఫ్ అండి. అంటే వాళ్ళది I-94 2021 మార్చ్ 24th కంప్లీట్ అవుతుందండి. సో ఇప్పుడు నేను అప్లై చేస్తే జస్ట్ ఓన్లీ 40 days ఎంతో ఉంటుంది గ్యాప్ కదండి, ఇప్పటి నుంచి మార్చ్ 24th అంటే. సో ఈలోగా నేను అప్లై చేస్తే మనకి అంటే రిసిప్ట్ రావడం లేట్ అవుతుందని అంటున్నారు. అది ప్రాబ్లం లేదా అని ఫస్ట్ క్వశ్చన్.
అవునండి, మీరు ఆన్లైన్ కూడా అప్లై చేయొచ్చు కదా, H4 and H4 EADs. If you want to apply H4 application, you can apply online also. అండ్ ఈవెన్ ఒక రిసీట్ రావడం లేట్ అయినా కూడా పర్లేదండి, యాజ్ లాంగ్ యాజ్ you file timely your application, even if it's receipted later on, but the receipt date will be way prior to their expiration status property, they are okay. They are authorized to stay in this country while the H4 application is pending. And
ఓకే ఓకే వీళ్ళ వాళ్ళు ఇప్పుడు మార్చ్ 24th లోపల కానీ ఇండియా బయలుదేరితే నేను ఇప్పుడు మళ్ళీ వాళ్ళు ఇండియాలో సపరేట్గా H4 అప్లై చేయాలా సార్ వీసాకి? ఈ ఎక్స్పైర్ కాకముందే నేను అప్లై చేస్తే.
అవునండి, బేసికలీ ఇప్పుడు వాళ్ళకి పాస్పోర్ట్ లో వ్యాలిడ్ వీసా లేకపోతే ఇఫ్ దే వాంట్ టు కమ్ బ్యాక్ టు యుఎస్ దే హావ్ టు అప్లై ఫర్ వీసా అట్ ద కౌన్సిల్ అండ్ దెన్ కమ్ బ్యాక్ కదండి.
అంటే నేను ఇప్పుడు అప్లై చేసిందంతా పోతుంది సార్, $1,000 సంథింగ్ అమౌంట్ అంతా?
అదేం పోదండి, బేసికలీ బికాస్ ఇస్ అన్ ఎక్స్టెన్షన్ కాబట్టి ఆ కేసు అట్లా పెండింగ్ లో ఉంటుంది బేసికలీ. ఓకే, కానీ if they go abroad, irrespective whether you apply here or not, they have to apply for a visa abroad basically. Without applying for a visa abroad, they can't come to US basically. Passport lo valid visa lekapothe వాళ్ళు travel చేయలేరు basically.
Yeah, right. Thanks for calling, Andy. So, Bhanu garu, what are the new priorities for immigration enforcement?
As I said, they are going to start the new immigration enforcement team for the site visits for the F1 program basically. That is very, very important thing. F1 compliance is going to be a big thing for the companies, especially companies who tend to hire more OPT and CPT students basically. There is more task forces being hiring and forming to do the site compliance visits for the F1 programs basically. So they're going to come and see basically how the students are being properly trained in their company and how they're going to provide training, especially when they're working at the third-party client sites basically, right? Because F1 program is meant for the optional practical training. It is not for the employment basically. Okay, employment has to be for the purpose of providing the practical training to the employees. So these compliance issues are going to be really big in coming days. That is one thing which we have to look for after. And also as I said, there are going to be more site visits for the H1B program to see the compliance with the H1B program or not. So employers has to make sure that they properly have all documentation, especially if they have OPT training program, important to properly document how their training program works basically, and how they provide the training also. It's better to have all that information with them because they're going to see tremendous increase in the site visits because of this training program. I don't see anything less is going to happen in Biden administration pertaining to that. I think even Biden administration, those issues will be even more rampant basically because they are also for actually site visits and everything actually started in Obama administration and then continued in Trump administration to a different level, and it's going to go even in this particular administration and basically,
So in future Biden administration, what changes we can expect?
As I said, Andy, the major expectations which we can see is that they're going to propose immigration reform within 100 days of Biden administration basically. In the proposal, they're actually proposing to provide path to citizenship for the illegal immigrants and the legal immigrants in this country. Okay, and they're making a proposal to remove all the backlogs for the individuals who are waiting in their queue for a long period of time to seek adjustment of status in this country, who have legally entered into this country. And they're also talking about the expansion of CSPI Act, basically Child Status Protection Act properly for the children who are aging out in this country, who have legally entered into this country and waiting in the queue, and they're aging out, what to be done and everything in that way. And also they're proposing several other options in that. Basically, it's a huge list which they've given in the past, in the 1.5-page list which they've given. What is the reform they're going to propose to the Congress in the first 100 days of their administration if it comes to immigration. Most an important thing is basically is right now with Biden administration is restoring and making sure that DACA program is in effect so that these children who came into this country without their fault when they're young basically and able to continue in this country, study, provide everything whatever they could, became a part of the fabric of the society in this country, and those people are going to be protected in this DACA program. And also other thing which Biden did is basically he stopped funding for the border wall that is being constructed by the Trump administration. Of course, that's politics basically. I do not know how it's benefiting, how it is impacting and everything. That's a sheer politics. That is one thing. That border wall fight, that war we are going to see during this particular administration how that is going to go and everything. So I'm somehow more optimistic and more hopeful with the Biden administration. If it comes to legal immigration, I think they're going to make it even more process oriented, but probably fair process oriented rather than they're not going to deny the cases, are going to establish the policies and the rules just to eradicate immigration into the US, basically. Okay, they're going to have, because they believe that America is the nation of immigrants, basically, and nobody can deny that fact.
Yes.
Some people may have come 200 years ago, some people may have come 100 years ago, but we all are immigrants in this country. Our forefathers are immigrants in this country. So the American dream is about immigrants coming into this country and making sure that their talents are utilized and they're basically able to expand or provide and show their abilities, how they can contribute to the society and fabric of the society in this country, basically. So I think that is what we're going to see in Biden administration in coming 4 years. We may not hear too much anti-immigration rhetoric in the Biden administration, what we heard in the last administration, because last administration, whatever policy they basically implemented, they wanted to do it. It's about curbing immigrants coming into this country, especially certain immigrants coming from certain type of country, from certain countries, whether it's a Muslim countries or minority countries or third world countries, basically, but not from every other country. So we are going to see those changes going to happen basically in the Biden administration. That's not going to happen in the Biden administration. In Biden administration, I'm hoping that these policies are designed such a way where we will see the lot of progressiveness if it comes to the immigration law and the immigrants in this country, basically.
Yeah. So, Bhanu garu, how can be H-1B visa 2021 lottery predictions as per you? And also any suggestions for employees or H-1B applicants?
They should be ready now. I mean, they should get ready now because it's already January 28th. I think we are basically advising the clients to start sending us the information from next week onwards, especially if they can start sending the information from end of the January, February, first week or second week, basically, so that we can be ready with preparing all the registrations for the companies. And then from March 1, if the registration opens from March 1, we do not know whether it's going to open from March 1 or not because USS has not made any announcement. But we're anticipating that it's going to be the same because last year they started the registration from March 1, 2020, basically. So we're hoping that this year also they're going to open the registration from March 1, 2021 only, basically, right? But that's why we're making sure that we're talking to the employers, making sure that we gather all the information. We do our due diligence, basically, how the case is to be prepared and everything, and do the registrations on March 1, 2021. And then once the cases are selected, once we hear from the USCIS, we should prepare those cases and file with the USCIS, basically, and we have to comply with the regulations no matter what, whether it's an employer, any employer. Whenever you're filing an H-1B petition, ensure that the petition qualifies for specialty occupation. Just don't file it otherwise, just like that. That's my advice, basically,
Yeah. So finally, golden immigration.
Ensure to talk to lawyers like me. Make sure to work with the lawyers like me and make sure that the case are represented properly before the USCIS. That's very, very important,
Finally, golden immigration message to our viewers. Em cheptaru?
Have an upbeat. Be happy. I mean, we have seen some positivity once the Biden administration took over from January 20, 2020. I'm sure today visa bulletin came and it's been disappointing for everybody about the February 2021 visa bulletin. The dates went backwards for the EB2 and EB3 category individuals, but I'm sure that's going to move forward because many people did not get their green cards. Consulates still not open yet. They're not issued the green cards for the employment-based people. So there are a number of visas that have not been used yet for the last year and this year also. So eventually, again, the dates have to move forward basically for these people. So I would advise everybody to be hopeful. I think now we have ears in the administration who's going to listen to you if you present your case. They're not going to look at it only one way. They're going to look at it on the both sides also. So that's a good thing. I think I'm a little bit more positive from past 2 days about the immigration laws and immigration practice. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Pleasure to have you on my show, sir. Thank you very much.
No, you're welcome, ma'am. Thank you very much for having me, and you have a wonderful day. Thank you.
థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్.
Thank you.
చూసారు కదా, ఇది వాళ్ళ సాక్షి స్పెషల్ ఇమిగ్రేషన్ షో. మరో షోతో మళ్ళీ కలుసుకుందాం. చూస్తూనే ఉండండి సాక్షి టీవీ, తెలుగు ప్రజల మనస్సాక్షి. నమస్తే.